Here.
All right, please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any agenda changes? All right. Public comment. Nobody? Great.
Oh, the one in
Yeah.
the folder.
So I have one that was emailed in today. Just as a reminder, any public comments need to be emailed to Sandy before noon for the board meeting at that day. This is from Kathy Sanchez. Hello, REACT members and Board of Ed trustees. We are writing as a founding and former REACT students and community members. It has come to our attention that the BOE is considering cutting student membership to the REACT committee, or at least questioning its need and purpose. As founding members of REACT, we have no doubt of the importance of student representation as key to the efficacy of REACT and to the needed connection between the BOE and what's happening with the communities of color in our district. At the Racial Equity Committee community-wide forums before the creation of REACT, students came out and spoke directly to the BOE asking for a seat at the table. They wanted a student presence to create accountability, as they felt that adults involved needed their perspective when creating policies that affected them directly. The students didn't feel heard. Once REACT was founded, it was made clear to us on day one at the first ever meeting that our charge was to address policy and protocol. We were not an affinity space. We did not have the power or ability to address specific racial incidents. However, as individual members appointed to REACT, any community member could approach us and share what they were experiencing. The students with daily lived experiences within the walls of the high school were often our eyes and ears to what was happening, and the issues they presented would likely have gone unaddressed had they not brought it to REACT's attention and consequently shared with the board. They felt safe to express what they needed to the adults who were carefully chosen to be on REACT, something that had not felt when addressing the BOE. The immediacy by which they were able to share concerns was useful on more than one occasion. The list of examples includes, but by no means is limited to, CASA protocols were not being followed, putting a student in danger. A popular event was being built around racist material and the students didn't know how to address it with their teachers. A climate survey missed the mark and disenfranchised the greater student population. If you go back to the minutes of our first meeting, you will see a conclusion our group came to that still holds true to this day. The chain of command to formally address and document concerns, conflicts were raised, with the caveat that if that chain truly functioned equitably, this REACT committee would likely be unnecessary. Students testified that traditional roles of support, social workers and teachers, were not viable resources. Many students better trusted their peers or one or two known teachers. For some BOE members, having the opportunity to talk to students and families of color is limited. We would argue, especially now with a BOE that has no person of color as a trustee, the need to have voices with lived experience in the circle of influence of the BOE is more necessary than ever. Please keep the students and community members of color as a priority in REACT. We ask that you actually recommit to advertising and encouraging students and community members of color to join to make REACT a more engaged and connected resource. Thank you. Pilar Duvier. Thank you. Alana Florencia Wayne, Jesse Avila Nativi, Reedy Patel, Paris White, Trisha Bowen, Kristen Mason, Diju, Kathy Sanchez. Thank you for your email. That concludes our public comment and brings us to the superintendent update.
Okay, well, I come to you with some good news about pre-kindergarten. As you know, we have only 16 students in the whole district who are able to attend pre-K this year, so we have only one classroom, but we did put out a request for proposals, and we have an organization called Healthy Kids who has put forth a proposal that they can run up to 3 additional classrooms in our district. And so that's pretty exciting news. We have a UPK grant that will pay for these seats. So we anticipate having another 54, 56 seats next year for pre-K for any student who who's 4 years old by December 1st. So we're very excited. We think we'll be able to accommodate anybody who lives in the district who wants to send a child to pre-K, and there'll also be before and after care for pre-K kindergarten students run by this organization. So it's great.
Yeah, that's great news, wow.
That's great.
So we're very happy to announce that, and we hope the board will approve their proposal at their meeting. I'd like to congratulate Tersa Faso, who's the Ulster County Bus Driver of the Year. She will be honored on April 27th at the ceremony. Also like to congratulate Greg Warren, our athletic director. He's been elected president of the New York State Athletic Administrators Association. So his 1-year term, which will no doubt be quite busy, starting in March. And I'd like to invite any parents who are interested. There's a middle school social media and drug awareness presentation on April 20th from 6 to 8 in the middle school auditorium. So, good stuff going on and good news tonight.
Good.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Welcome.
That brings us to 7.1, the REAC committee report.
The committee met last Tuesday, the 11th. We spent the bulk of the meeting talking about policy 3430, anti-racism policy. It was reviewed by the committee in advance of the meeting. The comments were shared on a working document. We basically went through the policy line by line. The committee considered the roles of both the anti-racism policy and the DEI policy. We discussed the need to adopt diversity, equity, and inclusion policy, as well as, in conjunction with the anti-racism policy. Review of the policy and relevant discussion about relevance of the district equity team's role affecting previous versions of the anti-racism policy was also reviewed. We discussed a deadline for reporting on the data required by the policy. We thought that the best time to do that would be in July after the reorganization meeting, so that the new board would have the benefit of the data. It was a long, detailed conversation, took up most of the meeting. Code of conduct, curriculum, and hiring and retention and recruitment policies were also discussed as requiring linking to both the anti-racism and the DEI policies. We agreed that the anti-racism DEI policy should be the lens through which these policies are reviewed. We had to postpone several agenda items because this did take up most of the meeting. We talked about a May meeting date, and I think we settled on the 23rd.
No.
It's May 2nd.
No, it's May 2nd. Okay. Never mind. Not the 23rd.
No.
May 2nd. There were a lot of emails about that.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
And there's some discussion of the committee's history of meeting during the summer. Traditionally, REAC has met over the summer, but most board committees don't meet over the summer. So we discussed possibly having an August meeting to review the data presented to the board at the July meeting, and the possibility that REAC members may meet without the board members over the summer. That's pretty much it.
Thank you. That brings us to 8.1, the policy review. Glenn's not here, but Heather, I think.
I'm gonna try. I don't know if I can deliver policy review the way Glenn does, but I'll try. So we are continuing to plug away at all the policies. Everyone was supposed to review a whole bunch of them, so here we go. The first one, 5210, was about revenues. It's very short. The district treasurer will have custody of all district funds in accordance with the provisions of state law. There's really not much to it. We didn't see any need to change it. It's very similar to what we currently have in place. And then the second policy for second read tonight is 5230, acceptance of gifts. And second, I have as many of them pulled up in advance as possible, but they're all on the agenda.
Yeah, a fair number of these are no changes, right?
Most of them are no changes. The one consistent sort of change is the new Erie Some of them are organized differently. Most of those changes we've found pleasing, and we've appreciated. 5230, acceptance of gifts, grants, and requests. There were no changes noted by the committee, so this one is pretty much, and I believe this is one that's very similar to what we currently have in place. So the committee didn't have any suggestions on that one.
Okay.
School tax assessment. This one was a little bit more complicated.
What's the number?
5240.
Mhm.
So this one, there's new language. So this policy 5240 combines the old 5240 and 5241. We used to have two separate policies and they've been combined together.
Okay.
There was also some unusual language about the tax exemptions. So this one, if you pull up the current policy, you will notice some differences with. So, just through the organization, I think there's some language, some archaic language. So, if anyone has thoughts on.
So the reason why it says no changes is because it's two existing that are just merged?
The policy didn't, we wanted it to come to the table so that we can get everyone's feedback. Not so much, I'm just pulling up the current policy. Again, most of these changes we found pretty helpful, but this one was definitely quite differently organized. So, does anyone have some thoughts while I pull up the policy? Anyone?
You're saying some of the language has changed, but the meat of the policy basically.
The meat of the policy is basically the same. There was something, I'm just thinking about this, after a while, all the policies come together. I remember there was something I noted that was a little different. Okay. So the 5240 we currently have on the website is school tax assessment and collection, and local tax levy and warrant. That's it. It's 3 paragraphs. 5241 is property tax exemptions for senior citizens, and that one is 2 paragraphs. But if you look at this 5240 from the Erie BOCES, it's much longer, and it also brings in, it brings in senior citizens, it reads to include disabled citizens, and then, so basically this, and then alternative veterans exemption. So it's just organized a little bit differently, and I don't know if this is one that having a business office look at might be helpful for their insights. We just didn't quite know, we saw the changes, we weren't quite sure what we needed here. So we were looking for board input and possibly we can sort of get Deb's input in the business office.
Well, if you want to table that one, we'll certainly look at it.
Yeah, I would think that would be smart. Just because there's a lot of addendums for real property tax law on the bottom, and this might be a policy that would have to be looked at maybe like yearly in case like property tax laws change and.
I agree, what we have in place and this were quite different.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's table that and come back to that one. I think that's a good plan. 5250 is textbook, 5250 sale and disposal of district property. And that one was largely the same. The only thing that stood out to me was the disposal of textbooks, which prohibited throwing them away, I believe. Or maybe it was the reverse, it mandated throwing them away. That was the one difference I just wanted to highlight. Yes, this new policy does not allow for throwing away textbooks. They have to be recycled, donated, or sold. And our current policy is not that specific. So I just wanted to highlight, we wanted to highlight that and get the board's feedback. The district feedback on how that process works.
Yeah, I wonder how can they be recycled? Just the paper kind of thing, I would think.
I hope somebody would take them for recycling.
Yeah.
Because the current
Yeah.
policy says you can sell the textbooks, if reasonable attempts to dispose of surplus textbooks fail to produce monetary return, then you can donate them, and then you can throw them away. So this new policy does not allow for throwing them away. So I just wanted to highlight that to the board and get feedback, because if we pass a policy, then old textbooks
I was gonna
start
say,
piling up.
the only thing I can think of is saying, if unable to sell, donate, or recycle,
Right,
then, allow
yeah, then we have
allow
no
the
choice.
disposal of, by whatever reasonable means necessary.
Would you like me to look and see if there's a place that recycles textbooks?
That would be great. I mean, I would be very curious as to what the current process is.
I think we, in the past, have thrown stuff out.
We don't wanna create
Yeah.
a situation where, yeah, I think getting input from, the principals and have the current policy, what that looks like would be very helpful.
So that's,
Talk to some neighboring
I
superintendents.
will, I'll look around.
Yeah.
I've seen a few textbooks in dumpsters before.
Yeah,
I have
so
to
have
admit.
I, yeah.
Yeah, okay,
so that's
so we'll
tabled.
table that one and come back to that one.
Are they not allowed to go in regular recycling?
I think it's our
Oh.
hard cover.
Yeah,
We don't
that's
think
what I'm
that.
thinking, the paper with the
I
hard
don't-
covers.
If
We
I-
and-
have
find
not any
out.
hardcover old school.
I don't know though, I
Yes.
think by now they should all be able to be recycled.
Okay, so, moving on. 5310, bonding employees. The committee did not see, this is very true to what we currently have in the policy. We did not recommend any changes.
Okay.
Okay, and. Okay, so district credit card use. The Erie proposed, policy is very different than what we have. So this is one where we need to sort of look at, and again, probably seek district input on what is actually in place around this, since this is not something, so that is, 5321.
We'll look at that one also.
Yeah, because this and what the current policy are quite different, and it's hard for us to speak to how those changes need to be addressed. 5323, reimbursement for meals, refreshments. The committee did not recommend any changes. This is very true to what we currently have in place. And purchasing, competitive bidding, and offering. And again, this is where the new recommended policy is much more complicated than the previous policy. We at the committee liked the old one a little bit better, but, again, this is that number is 5410. So that's one to read, if not already reflect on the two, and maybe to table that when I come back to that. And then 5411, procurement of goods and services. We at the committee prefer the new policy. The old one we thought was a little bit dated. And then,
Right, so just, because
Yeah.
we've gone every, so 5410, you're saying to table. That's the, purchasing?
if board members haven't had a chance to read through both, and, yes, I think we should table that one and come back to that one.
Okay. I think these are confusing because it says no changes at the top. And then,
Yeah, so we can, in the policy committee, we can work on clarifying that a little bit more,
because it should say compared to policies
because.
or something like that, but that's fine. Okay, so so we're tabling that for 5411 is the, okay, keep going.
That's okay, procurement of goods and services, we had the current one, 5411, reads. The current 5411 that is passed by the board in the policy manual is called bidding. So this 5411 is procurement of goods and services, so right in there, there's a big difference in terms of, the way it's structured. The committee liked the new Erie one, copy of that, which is which is on the agenda. We liked, we all agreed that the language was dated and just a little, older at this point. And it was structured, the bids were laid out, the old one is three pages long, and the new one was organized a little bit more efficiently. So that was the committee's recommendation. And then the last one is 5412, alternative formats for instructional materials. And this one is very similar to our current 5410 policy. Let me get my computer so you can pull up each one individually, so that I get stuck with all these untitled windows in the folder. So I apologize. Okay, so 5412. The one thing that we went back and forth, this policy talks about the National Instructional Materials Accessibility Standard, NEMAS. And that is to ensure that curriculum materials are available in a usable alternative format for students with disabilities. But when we tried to sort of quickly search and find out more about this NEMAS, it was the website is not in existence, so we weren't really sure. This might be one to table and get input as to what the current, what's currently going on with PPS and their input into how that's currently going, because it was a little confusing for us to try to unpack that one. And then when we look at 5410 on the website, it also mentions the same NIMAS. It was just hard for us to find out more information.
Okay.
So would you like us to look at and give you our opinions on 5240 and 5241, 5321, 5410, and 5412?
Yes.
I think you said 5240, 5250, right? You said.
I didn't say that.
You said a different number,
I
right?
said 5240 and 5241.
41 is not on
That's not on
the agenda.
Agreed, but you said that they were, two of them put together into
The old
one.
policy.
Yes.
In the old policy manual.
Yes.
There are two policies, right?
So if they can go together into one, then we'll let you.
Yeah.
Your opinion on that as well.
I personally think it would be helpful to have input on those. And again, in reflection of how the practices are currently, with their current policy, what's working, what needs to be changed and adjusted so that it's accurate.
We'll give you our advice.
Thank you.
Just the last two, I wasn't sure if we are, 5410, we said to table, but 5411 and 5412, was there discussion needed tonight, or is this being?
I mean, did everyone have a chance to read them? Do you feel like we can?
I think some of the ones that were pretty, the ones that had no changes, we could just adopt those tonight, can't we?
Yes. I think that the biggest one, 5411, the bidding that's turned into procurement of goods and services. And then 5412 is actually embedded in this new, wait, no, I'm in the wrong thing. Oh, wow. All the policies went together.
I thought 5411 was one you were okay with.
Yes, the policy committee liked the new policy.
Mhm.
So if the board is in agreement with that.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Mhm.
So you're gonna table 5240, 5321, 5410, and 5412.
And also 5250, you said.
Yes,
you would take.
that was the recycle.
Yes,
Yeah.
that one should be a quick,
Oh, I did say I was gonna look at
yeah.
recycling, I didn't put a number next.
And if there's no, you know, like Matt was saying, if there's, you know, we could always D, if all those three above don't work out, then we have to dispose of it we have to throw it out. I mean,
Exactly, I
Yeah.
just
So we can just apply.
Yeah.
thought it was a
I
bit
mean,
strange too.
it would be great to recycle.
We don't have it out.
Yeah,
Yes,
but,
it should be
Shove them in a closet.
quick and easy, you know, quick and easy change to be approved.
right.
Right, okay, so, and 5412 is getting tabled to figure out what's happening with NEMA's.
Yeah, I'm not, you know, I
Making
feel
sure
like,
it's a reorganization.
yeah, just how, you know, according to our current policy, what does that look like now? Just a little more information since the Google search didn't have that.
Okay, so for the other ones, this is now 5210, 5230, 5310, 5323, and 5411. These were all the ones that I think it seems we're ready to approve.
I think so.
So can I have a motion to approve
Those.
those?
So
moved.
Yeah, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That works, Sandy?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so now we are at, can I have a motion to accept the minutes for the March 29th, 23 business meeting?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Can I have a motion to accept the claims audit reports for February and March 23?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And 11.1, can I have a motion to approve items of the personnel consent agenda 12.1 through 14.3?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion to approve the Committee on Special Education and CPSE recommendations for student placements? So moved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
15.2, addendum. Can I have a motion to approve the CSE, CPSE recommendations on student placements? It's just a separate one.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
That brings us to new business, 16.1. Can I have a motion to approve the proposed 23-24 Ulster BOCES administrative budget in the amount of $6,718,295?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
16.2. This is the Ulster BOCES board candidate vote. I don't believe New Paltz had a candidate, but we have one from Ellenville, so Saugerties, Rondout, and 2 at large. I have a motion to approve these candidates.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
16.3 is, can I have a motion to approve the polling services agreement with the Ulster County Board of Elections?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
16.4 is a request for approval to sell, dispose of surplus of equipment. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And 16.5 is the Healthy Kids to administer the district's UPK program. So this is what you were talking about.
This is what I was talking
This is
about.
very exciting. So can I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. And that brings us to the second public comment. Do we have anyone else signed up? No? All right. There's a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Wait,
Yes,
do you
skip
want me to
that.
skip something?
18 point,
Temporary suspension.
oh, sorry, yes. 18.1, I'm skipping. Oh, yeah, can I have a motion to approve the temporary suspension of policy 8250 to permit animals in the building for building Billy Martin Circus Show, which is going to be May 6th in the high school?
It was very fun the last time. So
I
moved.
heard.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, now can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That was it.
Record.
That must have been a record for shortest